Hey everyone, and welcome to our network. This is the Magical Miracle Network, and my name is Ruth Perkinson. Very glad all of you here with me today with Dr. Nathaniel Mason. Say hello, Nathaniel.
Hey everyone, great to have you back. So excited that it's been an alignment for you to tune in and for us to be here with you today.
Absolutely. So grateful that you have the time to spend with us because I know you're a very,
Sure.
very, very busy man. And I just wanted to say before we start today that we have 265 subscribers as of
Woo!
this recording. Yeah, we're really kind of picking up a little bit of speed thanks to all of our friends who are coming on to share their talents, gifts, and abilities. And Dr. Nathaniel Mason has amazing talents, gifts, and abilities, and we want to bring him on from time to time to talk about different things that can help all of us sort of level up as we
hmm
grow in our spirituality, as we grow here on the earth plane. And today, what we were talking about before we hit the record button was just identifying number one, which voice are we listening to, right? The other
Right.
thing is really discerning and distinguishing when we're in a very sad or depressed or lonely frame of mind, what that looks like, and then some tidbits that will help people identify that and be able to get out of that. So I thought we'd bring you on today and talk about just that very thing.
I love that. It's such an important topic because I think we can easily pretend, well, if I'm on a spiritual path or I'm on a self-healing, a self-growth, a transformation path, that I should not have these really sad or heavy or dark feelings. But the reality is, almost all of them get them at some point.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it would be in our best interest. And I think it would behoove us and help our spiritual and self growth path to actually sit with the feelings rather than trying to escape them.
Yeah, that's a really great thought. And so maybe we can give an example of kind of what that looks like to sit with a sad feeling. I'm sure you see this with your clients.
Sure.
Who are going through a troubling time when they're feeling those feelings.
Yeah,
So can you kind of walk us through how to do that, how to sit with it, and then how to move out of it?
sure. So I think, first of all, it's recognizing what the feeling is. It's very hard only to say, like, I'm having a bad feeling right now, and then to stop there. If that's all you have at the moment, that's okay. Don't worry about it. But I think being curious and compassionate and asking, what is it that I'm feeling now? It's like, well, I have this kind of tightness in my chest. I have this kind of heavy feeling in my heart. My brain feels a little foggy. I usually feel these physical symptoms when I'm sad. I'm feeling sad for some reason. Like I'm tender,
Mhm.
I'm emotional, things are really getting to me more than usual. So I think a compassionate and curious investigation. I don't even like the word investigation. Let me double back on that. A compassionate and a curious um, journey to companion with yourself and see what it is that you could be feeling is number one.
Yeah,
So
so just so I can clarify just a little bit. So just I like those words compassionate and curious.
yeah,
Just being in that zone of curiosity, this is the feeling I'm having. And
yes.
invest investigating is the word we want to get away from. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, it's like even as I said it, I was listening and paying attention to the energy of the word, and it felt too activating. It felt too like trying to get to the bottom of something, kind of like an ego ploy,
Right.
if that makes any sense.
So you want to be more coming from an observational standpoint.
Yes, a non-judgmental observational standpoint, which is really what spirit is asking us to do. And frankly, when we're feeling so low, we do not have the cognitive and sometimes even the physical or emotional energy to investigate with accuracy. So it's a lot of times a lost cause.
Gotcha. All right. So getting into that non-judgmental awareness is sort of the first step
Mhm.
in our thinking. And then what would be the next step after that to help?
This is when I think it's helpful, at least in my experience. Now, I can't obviously say this is what I do with clients because they all have different spiritual paths. Some are not spiritual at all, and that's completely fine. But I do some version of asking, like, the higher self, God, the universe, whoever, like, help me, help me. Like, I'm out of alignment. I don't know what's going on. My way's not working. Please help.
Right. And then to me, it feels organically correct to then wait, to pause.
Yes.
So,
The pausing is so important. The pausing is so important. We do not make good decisions. Our nervous system is not designed to make great decisions when we're feeling rushed, when something is truly not a crisis. We can wait.
yeah. And then after the pause, then is it your experience that once you've done that, then there should be some connection to our higher self, and then we should be listening or looking for the next right thing?
Yeah. I think a lot of times it might have to do with base needs, but I think even on maybe a level that's harder to exactly describe, but I'll do my best. Sometimes it's a matter of asking for love or comfort from somebody. Like in that sadness, for example, to go back to what I just said, if I know I'm not alone, if I know there's somebody or something, it could be an animal you live with, it could be a friend you have, it could be a partner, it could be a family member. If I reach out and share this with someone, then I do not have to feel so alone. And I can remind myself that my sadness does not define me and the sadness is not forever.
I love that guidance, that the sadness doesn't define me and the sadness is not forever. 'Cause
Mhm.
oftentimes when we feel we're in that place, it feels we're in it's in an inescapable place. That blue depression, that sadness, that loneliness, that despair, that despondency, and it just feels like it's not going to end.
Yes.
And while I'm thinking about it, in that place, oftentimes from an ego perspective, that's what we're getting down to, I think, here, is that oftentimes the ego will then provide one with an outlet to that sadness or depression, which would then come into alignment with the ego's way of thinking, which is go drink, go take the drug, go eat, overeat, or get in bed. And has that been your experience?
I think so. I think that the ego would guide you to do something that maybe the energy behind it feels a little bit more reckless. It feels like maybe you're escaping. It feels like there is an avoidance. Like if I'm thinking of the essence of the energies a lot of time. Whereas if you feel guided to, hey, you know what? It's the late evening. I don't really feel like I had enough to eat for dinner. I haven't done a great job of having some quiet time to myself today. I'm going to try those two things and see if I don't feel just a little bit better. That's not escaping.
Mhm.
That's not bypassing. It's not doing something to avoid. It's actually confronting something head on because you're acknowledging that your body, your mind, and your spirit are all aligned. And when they're aligned, they can all function. And right now, they're a little out of whack. But those two things, for example, in this case, maybe I need to eat something, whatever it is that feels good, or I need some time by myself, whatever that might look like, is actually restorative and rejuvenating. It is not something that's indulgent and perhaps pushing something just down the road only to come up later in a worse form.
Yeah, and I think the key word there is restorative and rejuvenating.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful words. So what we're looking for is to use your wisdom, your higher self wisdom, to find that next appropriate thing to do to help you. That's gonna not further the story of the ego, but actually get you out into your right mind. And then when you're in that place, you can then, when you're feeling better, you can then address what we think was going on with the sadness and the loneliness.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. And I think the third thing I would add that's really important to have is a sense of trust.
Mhm.
Even if you do not have a specific spiritual path and you just happen to click on this video because it caught your interest, at some point or another in your life, you have felt sad. And at some point or another in your life, you have navigated to be at least a little bit less sad. Trust that the right thing will happen to help you do that again.
Right.
And if you are on a spiritual path, you can trust that whatever power you believe in is going to guide you in the direction that you need to go. In other words, stop efforting. That efforting just adds so much pressure to ourselves and can make it feel, well, now I have to get myself out of this sadness and I'm responsible for this. And it just goes into self blame and judgment. And again, even as you hear me say the words out loud, they're not restorative sounding, they're heavy and blaming, and they're not about accountability and love. They're about attacking and keeping the ego first and foremost.
Yeah, and I think that's something that maybe here toward the end of this conversation, we can talk a little bit about the ego voice and the spirit voice, or the love voice and the
Mm-hmm,
voice. I mean, everybody I think on planet Earth believes in love, I hope. And
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
everybody I think believes in the fear too. So those are two distinct and different opposing emotional systems, according to A
mm-hmm.
Course in Miracles. Love and fear don't at all integrate, and so we want to begin to um, talk, think through what that is. And I wonder if you could just talk a little bit about the ego voice, the fear voice, and a little bit about spirit voice from your angle.
Sure. Yeah, the ego voice, and I don't say ego in a sense of being judgmental. It's there for a reason. We can thank it for doing what it was supposed to be doing for us when we were growing up, but we don't have to act from it. Like, thank you, but no thank you, first of all, is how I see the ego. A lot of times it's our fight or flight responses, right? Or fighting, like, I'm going to engage in this argument. You said something that hurts my feelings. And so I need to respond in a defensive way right now, or else, like, I'm going to be disempowered and you're never going to respect me. That's an ego thought. But let's take that same situation and put the lens, I think, of love, the lens of higher truth on it. This person said something that hurts my feelings. I'm allowed to feel what I feel, right? That sense of love is about, I'm not going to judge myself. I'm going to share with the person how something landed with me. And I'm going to give the person the opportunity to sit with it so that a more organic exchange can happen where we better understand one another. That's a loving response.
Oh, I love that. I'll put you on the spot just a little bit. Can,
Yeah,
can we think of an example of that, like through all the clients you've been dealing with and your classes and everything? Is there like a really sort of simple example we can hear, talk about here at the end of the video?
totally. And I think I'll try to keep it to something that is probably universal that a lot of educators can speak to, which is we've all had interactions with either students or supervisees or people we mentor where maybe sometimes their questioning or their reaction to something feels like not that our authority is being questioned, but do we really know what we're talking about? Right. And that's a stinging feeling. We're allowed to have the feeling, and I can choose to react in a few ways. If it's an email, I can send a message out of anger right away that may not land, that may actually be not with the intention of what the person was getting at, that may make me look more like a jackass than I really want to look like. And that truly is not really who I am. Or I can sit with something, recognize what's happening, choose to respond with love, stay in my truth firmly, gently, and it's up to the person whether they want to accept that or not. And that takes the responsibility off me to try to convince someone, and I don't have to win someone's approval.
Oh, I love that. That's really such a great way to be. is to stay in your truth, respond rather than react would be a good
Yes.
word. When we're responding from love and spirit, then that's our right-minded situation.
Yes.
Reacting, we're doing it with the ego and that fear and that complaining, judging, whatever the word is for that. So well, these are really great tips for people out there who are wrangling with maybe some of the emotions they might be feeling as we go through the ascension process and
Hmm.
planet Earth. Is that oftentimes through the week we might get a little bit sad, and that's okay.
Hmm.
Just be curious about that, and call for help, call for love. What's going to
Hmm.
be the most restorative thing you can do, and rejuvenating thing you can do, that's going to be the highest and best for your system, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, energetically, all that, physically, and making those good choices. I love that. And just really being aware of who you're looking at the world with and who you're feeling the world with. Are you feeling it with love? Or are you feeling it with fear, I guess, or sadness? Maybe some way to look at
Exactly. And if you have spent the whole day, the whole week, the whole month, it doesn't matter, looking at something with an ego lens that's more out of like reactionary and trying to be right and trying to prove something, it doesn't matter. You don't need to judge yourself. You can always choose again. That's a direct course code, I believe, right?
it is. It's choose once again, right? Where we made faulty decisions before, we get an opportunity every day to choose again, and to choose with love and forgiveness, really ultimately is what we're doing. And that's ultimately what's going to really release us from the bondage of our thinking, our stinking thinking, into our love thinking, out of the grind mind into the love mind, the kind mind. And
Hmm.
I think that's just a really powerful word to use kind of all the time. Is it, are you being kind to yourself and others?
Yes.
Or are you not? And if you're not being kind, then class is in session. It's time for you to really get in there and forgive, and to let go, release, and to dissolve, and to deny the ability of the ego to affect you in any way, shape, or form, and to dissolve it at the level of our thinking mind. And that's going to be so helpful. And that's what psychotherapy is all about. It's about our mind.
Hmm. It's about healing the mind. It's about understanding those fractured parts of yourselves into becoming whole and showing up as you are. And it's about living in accordance with your truth, not what others' truth about you is being put on you. I love that.
Oh, that's so well said. Dr. Nathaniel Mason, I feel like we're having these like 10-minute, 15-minute videos that really bring forth a great teaching, great ideas, great healing coming from your perspective as a Course in Miracles student and teacher and facilitator. And here at the end of the video, I just want to mention that we do a free class once a month together on Wednesdays, um,
Hmm.
first Wednesday of the month, which is coming up this Wednesday at 11 a.m. We do a class together. And so anybody watching this video, I'll put the link to the Zoom class. And if you feel inspired,
Yes.
please check it out. We'll be there for about an hour this coming Wednesday, August the 7th, 2024. This is this week. All right, Nathaniel, well, I love this teaching today that you brought forth, and this is very helpful for me and for everyone watching the video. I'm going to find that stop
Sure.
button. So any last words while I find that, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I like that you said kind. I think it's different than nice. I think nice implies that we let the world kind of walk all over us. We should probably do a video talking about kind versus nice at some point. I love that you said that.
All right. I love it. That's the next one we'll do. All right. God bless you. Talk to you soon.
See ya.